Taking a look at this example, it says a park is 126 yards long and 187 yards wide. So we're describing a rectangle here. You would like to construct a walkway that goes from one corner of the park to the opposite corner of the park, and we want to know how long this walkway is going to have to be. And this is an important kind of question, especially if you're looking at contractors to install this thing. You're going to have to figure out the length of this thing and then decide how wide it's going to be. You're going to have to find the area, the volume, to figure out how much material is needed, that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's draw a quick sketch of this situation. So we've got a park here. And once again, it says the length of the park is 226 yards. And the width of the park is 187 yards. Okay? And you're probably looking at this going, well, how is my Pythagorean theorem going to come into play here? Well, it says I want to create a walkway that connects the corners of this park. So from one corner to the opposite corner. And when I draw that, that was a terrible... I missed by a long shot there. But when I draw that diagonal, what it gives me is two right triangles. If I were to kind of erase a piece of this thing, let me erase just the bottom half of this. Notice now I have a right triangle. And yeah, the entire park included, let me draw it as kind of a dotted line, included all of this stuff. But again, I only want to find that line in purple, so I only need half of this thing. I only need the right triangle that's been constructed here. And when I look at that, this is the hypotenuse, so I'll call it C. So the walkway represents the hypotenuse of the triangle. So now I plug it into my Pythagorean theorem. I say 187 squared plus 226 squared equals C squared. And now I simplify this, and again, use your calculator for this. I don't know what 187 squared is off the top of my head, but I plug it into the calculator. Calculator to the rescue. 226 squared, 51,076. And now I have to add those two things together. That's an 86,045. And I just take the square root to solve when I have something squared. I take the square root. And let me punch that into my calculator once again. The square root of that guy gives me a 293.3. And that's yards. Okay? And again, that's important because if I actually want to build this thing or construct this thing, I'm going to have to get bids from contractors, or maybe I am the contractor, and I need to figure out how much material it's going to take to construct this walkway. Having the length of the walkway is a pretty significant and pretty important measurement that I'm going to need. Okay, and having indirect measurements like this, if you have a surveyor that has already found the length and the width of this park, I might not have a tape measure or something like that can measure this distance very easily, especially if the ground's not level, that kind of thing, all right? So sometimes it's easier to find this measurement using some values that I maybe already have rather than measuring it directly, okay?